after I got the first injection, like it was honestly all uphill. By the time I was at my last trip to Mexico, I actually ended up going to the Explorer Park and doing zip lining and all kinds of stuff. And like, I hardly made it to the hotel a month prior to that.
Joining us today is a very special guest. We've got Kevin, who we treated at Immunocine now almost, what was it, Kevin, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2.5, 3 years ago, we treated you. I'm actually I don't want to take your thunder, so I'll let you kind of do a recap, but you are still, you're one of, I can't say that I have favorite patients. That's not the right thing to say, but you are a fun person, and I always love catching up with you. And the fact that I get to keep catching up with you years and years after this thing in Cancun is really exciting for me. So I wanted to just invite you to kind of just catch up with me here and share a little bit about how your life has gone since Immunocine, since filming your testimonial with us, how things have continued to go. And so maybe a good place to start is just to let you do just a quick background on your cancer diagnosis and that situation, and then we'll lead up to the fun part in Mexico with Immunocine.
Yeah. So a quick recap for those that don't know. I was diagnosed with a very rare form of melanoma in 2022. I went through the standard protocols and stuff here in Canada, where we just, basically if you can cut it out, we cut it out. And we did that, and the doctors were happy with how that went, and everything was hunky-dory for, about 6 months. And then it came back with a vengeance, and it was very unhappy that the second time in, it grew very rapidly. And it wasn't a very good spot. And, the doctors here, the only thing they kind of offered me was to do the same surgery over again and cut it out again and hope for different results. And to me, that was just not an option. There had to be something better out there. So we did a ton of research and finally stumbled upon Immunocine. And we picked up the phone, we called, talked to Nicole, who's absolutely amazing, and sent all of my scans, my information, everything we had to Immunocine. And, they looked at it and said, we think we can help you. So jumped on a plane in April of 2023, went to Cancun and met with my team of doctors. I was very sick at the time with an infection that stemmed from the biopsy that the doctors here in Canada did. And, the team jumped on that and fixed that. So right away, I knew I was in the right spot. And, more or less just, I did the treatment. I finished treatment June 1st of 2023. And, obviously the team stayed in very close contact with me when I got home. And, speaking with yourself and the doctors from Cancun, we got myself back on the Keytruda. So the immune steroid, basically, that just makes everything go crazy. And
so hold on, before you get to that, because that's kind of an exciting part, but you had been on the checkpoint inhibitors before coming to Immunocine.
Yeah. So
they had stopped working.
So I was put on Keytruda right after surgery as kind of a backup. So if there was anything left, that my body should handle it. And ultimately, the issue was my body didn't recognize the cancer as being bad. So my immune response was nothing, because my body thought that the cancer cells were perfectly normal. So they just left them alone, right? And that's the cool part about Immunocine is the double-eluted dendritic cell treatment teaches your body what it needs to go back and fight. So I was fortunate, to find them and that the immune response was like almost instantaneous. And a pretty crazy example, and I don't know if I've shared this one before, but the first time I came home from Mexico, I was sitting on my deck with my family, and not understanding totally how my body works and lymph nodes and everything else. I'm sitting on my deck and I was touching, grazing my side of my face, and I felt this lump behind my jaw. and I froze. And my parents were over, and we're just kind of catching up after being away for 3 weeks. And I just went pale, and I stopped talking, and then I basically just motioned to my wife to say, like, send them home. Like, there's like something's not right. And I picked up the phone, and I called the team in Mexico, and I said, I think it's spreading. I have this lump behind my jaw, and right away, instantly, FaceTime. Where is it? I pointed. They're like, they all kind of sat and smiled because they knew I was having a really strong immune response in the closest lymph node to the site, which was huge. So I went from literally shitting my pants, thinking it would spread, and I was, it wasn't working, to, oh my God, it's working. And, this is the best case scenario for this treatment, is to have an immune response after the first injection, which is, from what I've heard, is pretty unheard of. Like, usually you start getting the reactions after the second and third. And I had a very strong immune response right after the hop. So that's just a cool little tidbit. Didn't really share that a whole lot as I was going through it, but so I had a
swollen lymph nodes. Yeah, swollen lymph nodes, if you just have cancer, are bad.
Yes,
but if it's right after an immune response or an immunotherapy like this, well, the lymph node should be swollen. That's where the immune response is building up.
Exactly, and I don't have the ones in my neck, right? So like, they're all, the closest ones that I have are in my jaw. So those are like, there's going to be probably more cells going to those because they don't have anywhere else to go. So I just thought that was a pretty cool little tidbit to share, is, that I thought it was getting worse. And sometimes, they say it gets worse before it gets better. That was that for me. Like, it was, I was like, oh my God, it's spreading. And then it turns out that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to see the immune response that was happening. So that was pretty cool. And so anyway, I finished treatment on June 1st, and I flew back home to Canada, talked to my team of doctors and stuff here, as well as my Mexican team. And it was suggested that I could get back on the pembrolizumab, the Keytruda, and so just kind of
I'm gonna preface this because these are some of my favorite pictures. They really are. But like, and if it's not obvious, right? You had a pretty sizable tumor on your face. It was not hard to see, and you're a little bit like me. Like, hey, if it works a little bit, let's make it work more. Mm-hmm. We want it to go faster.
Yeah.
And so we had suggested, well, even though the Keytruda, the checkpoint, hadn't worked before, now that you have all these activated, educated immune cells, try it now.
Yeah.
And I remember a really impressive quick response when you did that. Like,
it was like what, within like a week,
shrink in a week. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, I have pictures 7 days apart, and the tumor is like less than half. Like it went all like soft and spongy, and like it absolutely destroyed the tumor. Like, it was insane. And I can remember at night laying down, and you're just kind of drifting off to sleep, and I could feel it tingling, like, and I would just go to bed and envision like a battle happening in my face, that we were winning. And I think a big part of this treatment too is mental. Like, you have to believe that it's working, and you need to almost will your way into remission. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of stuff that happens in our body is mental. So, it can go both ways. It can be, it can go badly, stressed out, stuff like that. You can have heart attacks and other kind of stuff like that. And then, you can will yourself to get better. And I think that's ultimately, you have to have that positive outlook. And it was just crazy to me how fast it worked once I got on the Keytruda again. And like, I finished treatment June 1st, and I was getting clean scans in September of that year. Like, it was totally gone. And it got to the point, it actually got to the point where my plastics team from here had to go in and actually readjust it because it shrank so much. So now it's pure tissue. There's no scar tissue. There's nothing inside of this thing. And, they had to go and pull it back up, because I was like, when they did it originally, obviously they figured they'd have to debulk it, and they actually had to bulk it. So,
yeah. Well, you're years out. The cancer's still gone, as far as we know. It's still controlled. You're not on any treatments right now, right?
No, I haven't had anything to do with cancer treatment since about February 2024. So
Yeah,
besides my, my annual checkups, like I go for scans every 3 or 6 months, depending on how things are going. And I have, I don't know, half a dozen or better scans that are just no evidence of disease. So,
yeah,
you can offer a better response.
I wish we could predict the future. We can't. We'll see. We'll hopefully be doing check-ins in 10 and 20 years. But even to get to this point, you're not on continual medication or treatment. The cancer's this is years worth of wins here. And remind me, what were you had the swollen lymph node, but what were the side effects to the IDCT treatment that you had?
Like the Immunocine treatment, really, besides being fatigued at the beginning. I mean, I wasn't in great health anyway. I was malnourished because I couldn't eat because the tumor was so big and it would bleed every time I would try to eat. Besides just feeling like you had a really bad flu, honestly, there really wasn't any side effects for me. Besides it working, it was it was pretty. I would say the first week of treatment before the what am I looking for here? Not dialysis, but you know what I'm saying. Before that was the worst part of that whole experience. And it was no worse than being sick with the flu. Like your body aches, and sometimes you get a fever, a low grade fever, or something like that. You just didn't feel good. And then after I got the first injection, it was honestly all uphill. It just kept getting better and better and better. And by the time I was at my last trip to Mexico, I actually ended up going to the Explorer Park and doing zip lining and all kinds of stuff. And I hardly made it to the hotel a month prior to that. So, just how quickly your body can recover, when you have the right things in motion.
Yeah. And of course, to anyone listening to this is, of course, your story. It's not a guarantee. It doesn't happen that way for everyone, and certainly not trying to imply that. But that is a pretty common side effect profile for what we see, depending on where the cancer is. Of course, if your cancer was all lodged in your spine, it may have been more uncomfortable to have an inflammatory response there. But you had it on your face, so definitely somewhere that could also be considered a sensitive area. So. But I think it's good that these things are possible. You get your immune system fixed and you are a walking example of what that can look like. So it's been a while. How we're in the future now, you've got kids, you're still happily married, you're still working. Tell us a little bit about how life has gone just, here in the past year. Anything that comes to mind, just that, has been just good parts of living life, just getting to enjoy more time.
Yeah, honestly, life pretty much went back to how it was before, or I would even say better, because now I definitely take better care of myself, and I have a different appreciation for life and all aspects of it. I got to take my daughter to her first day of school this year, which was super cool. When I got diagnosed, she was 8 months old. So I didn't even know if I was going to see her go to school, let alone graduate. I got to take my son to his first dirt bike camp, and we got to hang out there, and he did his first race, which is, huge for me. As if you know me, I'm big into motocross and stuff like that. And, just being there to do these iconic things with your kids, it's huge, and just being able to be myself again, and just essentially life went back to how it was before, but I would say it's even better, because you have a different outlook, you have a different appreciation. Work is fun. I enjoy going to work. I own my own excavation company, so I get to play with my big Tonka toys every day. And, I enjoy going to work now. Before it was a job, you didn't appreciate what you had. So it's really changed the outlook on things. Even when days are not great, it's still better than where I was before I found Immunocine, right? So, being able to take my kids on holidays and stuff like that, and really spend those quality times with my family and friends and stuff like that has been huge. And, and being able to give back, right? And really like push the narrative that cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence. Like, that's a really big, important part of my life now, is to, help educate people and show them that, just because you got diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean you're dead. Like, there is other options out there, and don't just get bogged down in the healthcare system that you're in, whether it's Canadian or US or wherever you are. There is other options out there, and they're good. They're very good options. So,
yeah, no. Well, you found us from Canada, and you actually were referred from another patient, and
yep.
Who's also doing great. And I always appreciate hearing stories like this, Kevin, because when you have cancer, I mean, I absolutely can't even. It's a whole world changer when you have cancer, and it's just kind of becomes the focus. But for those of us who are trying to help cancer patients, cancer's hard, and it's just a humbling field, no matter what we do. And so, we do our best. We have a real science. We really care about patients. You still routinely talk to members of our team, doctors, and obviously you and I still talk. And I remember when this all happened, and you had really young children, and of course you still do have really young children, but you're here for these moments, and I feel confident in saying that that's in large part because you found Immunocine, and we were able to do this treatment. So I always appreciate you staying in touch, and I know sometimes you like to mess with me sometimes, but just let's keep the cancer gone. Let's keep living life.
That's right.
You just have a great young family. You've got a great business up there in Canada, where I imagine it's going to be quite cold at this point. So
lots of snow outside right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking this time to just meet with us and kind of talk to some of the viewers we have who are continuing to just try and figure out what to do and who to go to. And it gets a little noisy in the space, and who do you trust?
It's a tough road to navigate.
It is. And we're doing what we can to try and make it a little easier, but it is tough. And so I just saw an opportunity to just continue to try, because one of the things that, as you pointed out, attitude matters, belief matters. And if you lose all hope, it's tough. It's tough if you lose all that. And so I just, we want to show that when you get your immune system fixed, again, it's not a guarantee. It doesn't automatically work for everyone, but we've seen it for a number of patients at this point, that when it works, maybe it just buys some time, but here we are with you and others, when it's years, and you're fine. You're still here. You're still living life. And I think it's important to see that it is possible.
Absolutely.
So, all right, everyone. Well, thank you for just taking a little bit of time out of your day just to join us and hear this uplifting story from one of our former patients, Kevin, who continues to help Immunocine grow and gets to live his life at the same time. And we just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. So for more information about how we operate and what our science is and how we're going about trying to help cancer patients fight back, you can visit us at immunocine.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And of course, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.